Anyway, this is called Some Reflections on Structure, Fellowship, Foraging a Fellowship, or Foraging for Fellowship. Introduction. It appears that our little group does have theological fellowship. We have been meeting now for a number of years. This is the old Sanctuary Theological Conference, or it has been called that. And I believe this probably is in its 6th or 7th year. I don't know, I didn't look back for sure on this. And when we think about things like that, I mean, we think about, fellowship and people getting along, working together. And of course, when I found out about this up here, I didn't find out about it until later, because, of course, there was a communication error, which is fine. There's no problems with that. But as we think about fellowship, we think about, being with each other. And I could use that as a segue into making a distinction. The fact that I didn't exactly know about this. And the distinction I want to make here is on the definition of fellowship itself. We can think of a fellowship in a number of ways. We can think of it, number one, as an association of people who share common beliefs or activities. An association of people sharing common beliefs or activities. And as we think about this, of course, there are all kinds of fellowships, right? People that share common beliefs and activities. If you look up, actually, in a dictionary, a good dictionary, you're going to get about 14 definitions of fellowships, including, dollars to spend abroad and all kinds of stuff. I had a fellowship at the University of Iowa, which means I got money for not doing anything. It was great. I could say something about leaders in the ELCA, but I won't. But anyway, we could also talk about a fellowship in another way. The fellowship is the state of being with someone. State of being with someone. And if you think about these two, you can think of these two definitions as getting at the same thing. The first one again, an association of people who share common beliefs or activities. And the second is the state of being with someone. You could think of them connoting the same thing. But really there is a distinction here that I think is worthwhile exploring. The first one, first definition, an association of people who share common beliefs or activities. Here we're really talking about an external relationship, right? An external association. All the people in the group, they are in the group because they share these common beliefs and activities, right? There can be all kinds of people in the group with different motivations. Some of you know this because you have congregations or in congregations, right? They are fellowships, maybe. And yet people are all over the map with respect to many of their ideas. And maybe they don't even get along, but they share the common belief or activity of perpetuating this congregation, probably, certainly. And I would like to think about this as a being alongside of notion. We can be alongside of others, right, as we do various things in life. As I, work on the Institute, I have my being alongside of others who work in trying to develop the Institute. Sometimes, however, when we're being alongside of others, we're not really being with others, right? We can be alongside of them without being with them, because the state of being with someone is a different notion than being alongside of someone, I think. Philosophers, of course, make all kinds of distinctions, and you all know I like to make distinctions. When in doubt, make a distinction. Make a distinction. And one of the distinctions classically made in philosophy is the distinction between an external relation and an internal relation. An external relation is a relation that obtains between two entities that does not change the being of the entity so related. It does not change the being of the entities so related. Now, my father is externally related to me genetically because my existence does not change his genetic code. So he is externally related to me. This must be distinguished from an internal relationship. An internal relationship is a relationship which in its relationality, actually changes the being of the entities so related. Relationship in its relationality that actually changes the being of the entities so related. So genetically, I am internally related to my father, right? Because my genetic code would not be what it is were it not for the fact that I sustain this relationship with my father. To recap here, my father is externally related to me genetically, and I am internally related to my father genetically. This, by the way, is a nice way to think about creation if we're thinking clearly. We don't think clearly often anymore. We've made a study in our ecclesial structures of not thinking clearly. But some of you here like to think clearly. We've got some good, clear thinkers here. And if we're thinking clearly, we know that God is externally related to the universe. To deny this is to claim that God is not God. God is who God is, apart from human awareness, perception, conception, and language. It's one of the deep affirmations of the Institute of Lutheran Theology. It's a commitment to theological realism, that God is who God is, apart from the universe. But out of the abundance of God, the overflow of God, that part of God that does not constitute what God is, God brings the universe into being. Now, the universe, however, is internally related to God, right? Because the universe could not be what the universe is apart from its relationship to God. The universe bears the marks of God. It's the handiwork of God, right? Now, back to this distinction between being with and being alongside of. In a being alongside of relationship, I am externally related to the one to whom I am related. I am who I am, and I happen to be who I am alongside of the other thing. So I can belong to an organization, and I can be who I am apart from the other people in the organization. However, the being with relationship is an internal one. If I am being with someone, the someone changes who I am. Hopefully, if you're married, your